welcome to another special episode of the C.M.M. Talk Show. Today we got a little bit of breaking news for you, a little conspiracy that got cooked up here in the last, not very far. Brought to our attention by our favorite analyst, Mr. Duke. Obviously, me, James, and Dean are here to hash it out with him. So, Duke, what do you got for us, buddy? What's cracking?
Well, the story kind of starts last week. Last time we have seen Joe Biden in Las Vegas. It said that Secret Service called Las Vegas PD, telling them to clear the roads, that they had to get Joe Biden to the University Hospital or whatever. And next thing that happened was that was canceled, and they flew him out, medevac, and Air Force One back east from Las Vegas. And they said that Air Force One was hauling tail. But and also in the Las Vegas Police Department rumor mill is that Biden was dying or dead. Now, he was supposedly had caught COVID last week, and they got him back east, to the capital, but then moved him to Delaware, to where he's from, and nobody's seen or really heard from him since. That also, Sunday was when he produced this letter on Twitter or whatever, and was bowing out of the election. And this was news to his people in his campaign headquarters or whatever. They didn't know anything about this until then. And the signature on that letter was not his signature, supposedly. It is a different signature. There's too much space to it. And also, it wasn't on a White House presidential letterhead.
Oh, really?
And that kind of threw some warning bells up in the air. And also, Kamala Harris was supposedly talking to him on the phone, and I heard the conversation, and she almost said, the way she said it was kind of like, "It's good to hear your voice, da 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 da." She almost sounded like she almost said recording. It's good to hear your recording. That could be, he could not be, he could already be dead or something. And there's all these people are throwing this out there. Now, supposedly, Biden is to address the nation on Wednesday. We've got to see what is up about that. That's the big thing is there's people calling for proof of life from Joe Biden because they don't know if he's, nobody's seen him since he's disappeared into Delaware.
That's crazy. Well, I know it's the number one trending on Google right now if Joe Biden's alive or something like that, search term. So this isn't limited to just, one viewpoint either. I mean, this is this is really important. If the president's dead or something, or even sick, we should probably be told.
But they're also saying that if he is alive, and being as he dropped out of the presidential race, there's some that are wanting to call for Amendment 25.
Would be just far
Really?
Health, really? Well,
and for our viewers that don't know what Amendment 25 is, I hope we all do, but just in case there are any out there that don't, Duke, would you like to give everyone a quick amendment rundown?
Well, it's basically. I got to figure out how to word it. It's basically, it's not impeachment.
It's basically like replacing like the president or vice president in case of death or resignation, mental health, that kind of stuff.
Mental health, then you've got to follow the order of
like chain of command.
Right.
Vice
How-
president and what,
I happen to always carry, and this was just to be facetious, but I carry a Bill of Rights that has all the amendments on it.
Yeah.
Fun
it's
fact.
basically what addresses secession due to presidential disability. It clarifies the vice president becomes president if the president dies, resigns, or is removed through impeachment. And then it goes talking about the president's cabinet. But that's basically it.
Well, and for people that, Kennedy comes to mind basically when he was assassinated. So, yeah, basically, if that happens, that would make Kamala automatically president right now.
Speaking of Kennedy, did you ever do anything with that I showed you?
I don't believe I did yet.
Well, here, we might as well mention it on here.
Yeah.
Keep going while I find it. I've got to find it.
Yeah, that'll work. Well, and the thing is,
I love it. We're gonna send it. Y'all just keep her moving.
well, hey, that means
Hey, if we're not the guys that fly by the seat of their pants, what the hell are we?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's the thing, man. Like doing these trending topics, it just kind of fits in with what we do. But since we're kind of doing everything presidential, have you heard about? I guess the guy that took that shot at Trump. So that kid was actually in a BlackRock commercial.
What commercial?
The BlackRock. It's basically like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you guys know about BlackRock, but yeah, he was in a BlackRock commercial.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Now that is interesting.
And as far as right now, it's not been.
Is it sad? And I'm sure there's some people that probably share this viewpoint. So as part of the reason I'm going to say it, but to be truthful, I find that more interesting than if Biden's dead or not.
Well, yeah, it's pretty interesting, right?
So, and then I do have a source, and who will not be named, obviously, due to legalities, but that I was talking to about the Trump assassination, who was there, who was working, let's just say, with law enforcement and Secret Service.
Yeah.
And in their capacity as something that one of their previous jobs was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were not told. They were told there may be a threat on the roof, and they scanned it and said there's no one on the roof, because at the time it was radioed to them. It was there's someone on the roof at this position, and they looked and there was no one there, and they're like, okay, cover this position where we're gonna have a guest speaker or some shit coming up. Scan the skyline behind this position. They're like, okay. And then nothing was said until the shots rang out.
Well,
And then they had to turn and engage said target.
Well, they
Go ahead, Duke.
what about director of the Secret Service? She resigned today.
She did. I did not hear about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's about
they
time.
were screaming for that from the rooftops.
They were eating her lunch, though. They were eating her lunch in the congressional hearing.
Well, I think that's fair. I mean, especially the excuse of the sloped roof thing. Like, I mean, come on.
That's what got me.
That's what I was going to say too, is when I was digging into some of this, at least with the Trump thing, this guy actually went to the trouble of doing some audio work with 3 different positions, like cell phones or something. Anyway, long of the short, he's pretty much able to show just through audio that there was at least 2 different shooters. And it's pretty incredible. I'll have to figure out which video and who the guy was, but yeah, long of the short, you can not only hear an audible difference, but you can see the waveforms. They're different. Like there was an echo. closer to the
So
podium.
that would make someone think that there was two different calibers used almost. Then, if the waveform is different.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody's been talking about the water tower, but they're starting to talk about, I guess, there was a building like approximately 150 yards even further back than where the Crooks kid was, and
All right.
they're talking about that maybe that shooter was the actual one that hit him, um, and that's the craziest part is because let's be honest, that kid couldn't even make his high school rifle team. If anything, he really does seem like the useful idiot in this situation. But being in a BlackRock commercial, that blows my mind.
That's it. That's very interesting. Like I said, I find that really interesting. I think we should do some more digging on that aspect of it.
Well, and I know that there was a firm out there that tried to short the Trump stock. They bought a bunch of shares and said it was an accident afterwards, like 12 million shares, I think. What was it, Duke? Something like that. And
Yeah.
they were going to short his stock, basically, for those that aren't used to stock market. Basically, when you short a stock, you're basically betting that stock's going to crash or go down to make money. And long and the short, somebody invested a heck of a lot that day or the day prior. And yeah, all of a sudden now they're saying it's an accident and all this money's been refunded and people are even crying foul on that. So, but I know that BlackRock owns pretty much everything as far as I understand. But yeah, especially investment firms. I mean that in themselves is what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, because that falls into that dark triad that everyone's always talking about. Was it BlackRock, Vanguard, and I forget what the third one is.
Yeah, State Street, stuff like that. But
All right. Well, check this. Oh, go ahead.
oh, go ahead.
Now, I got my notes here. Listen to this, y'all. All right. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John Kennedy, JFK, was elected to Congress in 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. JFK elected president in 1960. Both of their wives lost a child while living in the White House. Both were shot in the head on a Friday. Kennedy's secretary's name was Lincoln. Lincoln's secretary's name was Kennedy. Both assassinated by Southerners. Both assassins had three names to their name: John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald born in 1939. Here we go. Let's see. Both Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy were succeeded by Johnsons. You had Andrew Johnson succeeded Lincoln, then LBJ succeeded JFK. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before JFK was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. Lincoln was shot in Ford's in a theater named Ford. JFK was shot in a Lincoln made by Ford. Now, Andrew Johnson was born in 1808, and LBJ was born in 1908. How about all those coincidences?
That's why I lean towards sim theory, boys. I'm telling you, and it sure doesn't seem like our hardware or software something's going awry. That's nuts. Dude,
Wow.
that's nuts.
Yeah, that's a lot of 100-year apart back and forth right there.
Yeah, and I mean it's funny that Lincoln, a week before he was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland, and JFK a week before he was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. That's funny. to
He
me.
was also
I mean,
he was in Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
you beat me to it.
Yeah, yeah. Ta-da.
But yeah, all this coincidence, you know, yeah, the 100-year thing, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of wow. I didn't realize there was that much over. I'd heard about the theater and their birthdays and whatnot, but that's yeah, wow.
Well, so circling this back around to even Biden, right? So if he was in fact dead, I guess my first question is what would be to gain from not telling people right now? Is it they personally?
Election.
Yeah. Do you think that would? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not political enough to really know, but do they not want Kamala as president, like the Democrats?
Well,
Or
I mean, it's just giving the Democrat, giving them time to, or giving them, I guess, giving them time to get a new candidate up and running, because it's really hard doing that whole candidate change right here with only, you know, a little while left.
yeah, and well, I see.
Well, and then the biggest thing there though is like I don't see any way for them not to invoke the 25th if he is gone. So Kamala will, because she is the sworn in legal, as far as we know, vice president, right? So
Yeah, because last
to
week,
my understanding,
and what gets me is last week, you know, Joe Biden in a, you know, whatever speech, whatever, he was like yelling, getting loud, saying he is running, you know, and all of a sudden this happens. Well, I also heard in the rumor mill that somebody said something about maybe a stroke.
Oh,
well, and that's I was going to bring that up when you mentioned that the signature was wrong, because my grandmother had a stroke and her handwriting completely changed.
yeah.
Oh, for real?
So I was actually going to mention, like, hey, do we know if he had a stroke or not? Because
Yeah.
how old is Biden again?
They could be using COVID as a cover up.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Right.
He's actually mentioned that before. I think he's like 83, something like that. I can actually.
81?
He's 81. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Oh, I mean, what? He's like the oldest fucking president we've ever had, and you know, obviously he hasn't been healthy in a while. You watch him get assisted off of the stage at that one debate,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, so
and he looked unsteady as hell.
well, our little video game that we play, shout out to that. But that's why I actually got kicked out of a Discord server. You guys are aware, but I was showing this meme talking about just how Biden's lost it. It wasn't really political for me. It was just more the meme was funny. But yeah, he was not looking good, boys, at all. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to see anybody, you know, die. I mean, that's the last thing I'd want to, especially our president.
Well, you know, it's,
Well, I mean, when you're of age to die randomly sometimes, such is the way of the world, I guess.
yeah.
You know, it's just the one thing that none of us can change.
Well, who was it? Truman. He was like paralyzed from something, wasn't he? And they hid that for a long time.
No, it was
Oh, wasn't it?
Who?
no, it was Roosevelt.
Roosevelt. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had polio.
Polio. That's right. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
in a wheelchair.
I've seen the Harris campaign now. You know, they're scrambling and stuff. I just you know, I don't know much about, you know, Joe Biden the man. Everything I've heard is not great, but I'm even starting to feel bad for him. Not only being paraded around with obvious health problems. He's had like what, 3 brain surgeries or something already? Like I'm pretty sure that's well known too. I don't even think that's a conspiracy. But he's being kind of paraded around, you know, used for power. And then if the poor guy did die or something happened, for him not even to get enough respect inside of his White House, technically, you know, that's pretty crazy.
Well, they're saying that like even before he dropped out, there's usually like 13 field states for election. They're saying right now is only like 5.
Wow.
People are pretty much set on who they're voting for.
Yeah, I think the debate kind of. I mean, I don't think kind of. I think that pretty much solved a lot of stuff for people.
And I don't know. Kamala may have a little bit of steam she can go with, but I still don't think. Nothing against the woman, nothing against woman of African American descent or anything like that. It's just, I think it's too late in the game for.
No, yeah. Well, and I think Trump's biggest opponent, they already kind of, like you said, it's too late, but, Michelle Obama would have been probably the candidate I would have thought. And they really screwed up with, who was it? The Kennedy, that guy. So if they would have treated him better, he might have had a shot. I don't know, man. This is getting kind of wild.
And then with with Trump being shot, there. I was seeing that there was this. He was shot at 6:11 p.m. And then there was this thing talking about reading in the Bible. There's like one the Phoenicians 6:11 or something. It's talking about armor, wear your armor, da 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 da. And then they say that the blood on the right ear is anointment by God. Also, so the religious, some religious, really religious people may steer towards that because he was shot in the ear. And then some people just steer towards somebody that made it through being shot.
Well, it's definitely a different posture than what we currently have had. So it does show strength.
Where was Trump when he was shot?
Pennsylvania. He was.
I think it was, right?
That's right.
Yep, he was in the middle of a cornfield. The way I understand it.
Well, y'all know the story about another presidential candidate that was shot one time, right?
Which one?
It was Teddy Roosevelt, and he was running for president, and he was on his campaign trail. He was in Wisconsin. He was in Milwaukee. A dude come up, John Strant or something like that was his name, shot him point blank, basically in the chest with a .38. They caught him, and pretty much Teddy Roosevelt told him, you need to learn how to shoot better, basically. But he went on stage and gave a 90-minute speech with a hole the size of a dime in his chest. And his first words were like, something like, hello, friends, good to see you. I don't know if you know, but I've been shot, so I'm kind of having to talk this way, that way, or whatever. He says, and yeah, I was shot, but it takes more than that to kill a bull moose.
That's where that. Okay. Well, Teddy P was a rough rider.
I just thought that was something hard to say after being shot in the chest. I'm gonna give a speech.
The 90-minute speech, and that's like Reagan now.
Oh yeah, with the balloon.
Yeah.
Shit, I laugh at that every single time.
Well, so it's kind of weird. So during Trump's, first run or whatever, I remember him talking a lot about, Reagan and kind of comparing himself to Reagan. And now that he's been shot and attempted suicide, it's kind of getting spooky there. Maybe we can look into Reagan and his background.
Well, you talk about Reagan. I seen a thing this morning. Kamala Harris had said something about, we're the government and we're here to help. And Reagan had said the scariest thing to ever hear is somebody saying, we're the government and we're here to help.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that. I think that was the same speech with the balloon thing I just referenced.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, it's one of the greatest things I think that's ever happened in media that balloon pops in the audience, and you see him flinch for about a half a millisecond. Then he goes, "Miss me," and then just keeps right going on with his speech like nothing happened.
Wow. And that was when what? He was older too. He was in his 60s, wasn't
Somewhere about there, yeah. But just calm as a cucumber. Oh, miss me,
he? Missed me.
and then just
Reagan
right
had to
back
be
in.
his 70s.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's funny? To clarify too, just in case, because we like people commenting and stuff, but I want to clarify. It looks like Biden had 2 brain aneurysms and 2 surgeries instead of 3. I just wanted to make sure that was.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. 80.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
survived what?
that's some yeah, that's some heavy duty surgery too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that ain't lightweight stuff there.
So I mean, for all the criticism that he's gotten, for being weak and stuff, like he must have been a pretty strong guy to continue. Because I guess the brain damage stuff happened. One was in '88, and the other one was. I'll have to look. I'll find the exact date, but one was in '88, and I would assume the other one was around the same time.
I'm sorry, he scared the heck out of me. This first year, right after his inauguration, that first couple of months, when he gave an Easter speech the day after Easter. I was laid up in a wheelchair or sitting in a chair. I couldn't have nothing but watch TV. And I told my mom at that time, I'm like, that just scared the hell out of me.
He's got the nuclear codes, man. Well,
That's the problem.
well, we should definitely throw this out here. Like all 3 of us, we obviously wish him the best and hope he's not dead. But there's a reason why this is a trending topic for sure. Not just the election stuff, like again, with 2024 being as crazy as it is, it just seems like we can't catch a break and actually feel solid about anything anymore. Informationally, it's getting pretty crazy, boys.
Yeah, it's media has gotten to where they're actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
that's why I hate to say it. I don't watch news much anymore.
well, heck,
I
do you
catch
guys
what
want
I can
to?
over the airwaves, and anything I don't catch, I just don't catch.
Will you guys
But
want
I
to
don't
get
sit there
into
wait- I
Project
don't sit there waiting
Mockingbird?
to catch 11 o'clock news a day during the day. I'm not into it.
Well, and that's the thing. So, like, if people don't really understand, Project Mockingbird was basically that. The CIA has basically taken over the media, and that was like in '62. So that was right. That was actually they took it over right before the Kennedy assassination. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know what that is, like literally, so people like Anderson Cooper, he's famously, part of basically the CIA. He was on the what do they call that? Do they call it the Hill? Anyway, he actually worked for the CIA or interned or something. But how many people do you know intern for the CIA? If once you're in, you're kind of in. The way I understand it. I don't know. Well, and that's the thing, dude. Like,
I mean, look at all the programs that used to be happening to even just standard Americans. I mean, MK Ultra.
Oh yeah, Ultra. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you almost can't even breeze past American history without talking about that.
Well, no. I mean, Robert Kennedy was killed by Sirhan, who allegedly was affected by MK Ultra. I mean, that's one of the prevailing theories. I don't know, man. That's crazy. The fact that they went after both brothers too. I mean, there's some sick people at the top of our power structure.
Well, I mean, that they um, the mob was pretty much wanting to get Kennedys too at
Yeah.
that time.
Well, let's see. Well, you had the mob, the military, the
Well,
FBI.
John F. Kennedy's brother or whatever became what
The
U.S.
nominee.
Attorney General, and he went after the mob, especially in Vegas and stuff. And uh,
Well, and I remember
really,
watching a documentary about that, Duke. Something about the mob was actually upset, obviously, by that, but they were more upset that apparently they're the ones that pretty much got their father elected. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and I think he was a senator or something, congressman, but yeah, they pretty much got him elected and got those boys into politics, and then yeah, you I think everybody can kind of empathize with maybe that feeling of betrayal. So again, I wouldn't want to hurt anybody, but yeah,
and speaking of Las Vegas mob, they're fixing to tear what the Mirage down. I think they just had the last eruption from the water fountain thing, and
oh, that's
where it
sad.
has that eruption.
Yeah, the fountains.
Yeah, the fountains, and they're fixing to tear everything down and build something else there.
Man, that's sad. Another kind of like the Stardust, man. I was sad to see it go. I'll tell you what, man. That's like it's just kind of like everything else. I had this talk with the chick that I dated from London, and I really enjoy the fact that like especially London, but mainly Britain in general, they seem to basically revamp their older buildings and actually keep up with them instead of just tearing them down and throwing up like our houses, right? Like if you look at
Yeah,
our houses versus like how houses are made in Germany, it's crazy. They still do stucco and plaster and stuff over there. Their walls are much thicker.
Oh, they don't have screens though on their windows.
Is that right?
In some areas, I found that out through a friend of mine that was over there on a vacation, and he sent me a picture. I might still have the picture somewhere. I'd have to dig for it. But he's like, see anything missing from this equation?
That's
And I'm
crazy.
like, no, it looks like a great view, man. He goes, there's no damn screen in this window. He's like, it's not a thing over here.
Well, was it you and I that was discussing this, or maybe it was the girl that I dated or whatever? We were talking about windows and what happens when it gets just a little hot over there. It might have been
Must have been you and her.
yeah. So the crazy thing is, it's obviously super humid, being so close to the sea like they are. But anytime that it gets around the 80s or something, it's basically like living in Texas. From what I was told, she said that there was a guy from Texas actually that she met, and he said it was hotter there than it was back home, and he wasn't expecting that kind of thing. And I snickered and I said something to the effect of, yeah, he must not really be from Texas. And she explained that literally their houses are made to insulate, from the cold most of the time, and it does hold in some coolness. But once the house heats up, they don't have air conditioning over there. They don't typically need it. And it really started to make me think, yeah, because she doesn't have screens on in her house either. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
they don't really have any predators either. They don't have to worry about keeping stuff out.
Yeah, yeah. I think the biggest animal I've ever seen besides her American bulldog was she chased a rat around for a long time. She had some mouse from a neighbor, and the same mouse kept eluding her. I always found that funny. Yeah. He used to always like to break in and steal like her American food is what she called it. So she'd get like
Yeah,
M&Ms or something.
Well, you know that Great Britain and Great Britain, the whole island, England and Scotland, it's the same size as Alabama.
Wow. Well, see, and that kind of, again, I know we're kind of all over the place, but that makes sense to me. Why, we've all three ran into people that don't understand hunting from over there, and yeah, it makes sense, man. Like you said, they don't have really that many animals. I mean, they have stag, don't they? Do they have deer at least?
Yeah, they don't. They don't have guns. They don't carry guns or anything really.
Yeah. Well, and I remember there was this big movement about the fox hunt things for a while, not too long ago. Like these people were sending drones over the fence and stuff, and trying to help the fox or something. I don't know, but it is kind of, it's one of those things. I don't understand fox hunting, but I'm not going to tell them they can't do it.
I mean, I've been on a few fox hunts with hounds. It's fun,
Yeah.
Yeah, see, and
It's a hell of a good time. You hop on a horse, you turn the dogs loose, and you chase after them. You just enjoy the hunt.
I've been on it. I've been on them, and that where the coyotes were used instead of foxes, and then any big game pens where you have them, they make provisions for the coyote to get away.
well, see, yeah,
They make it where the coyote can get somewhere and the dog can't because they don't want to lose their coyotes. They don't want to lose their animals inside, that are making the money.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I don't know, man. I know that we have enough natural predators and stuff here that we have to hunt. Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, typically we're not in danger of running out of animals. We have the opposite problem. We have to hunt just enough to keep a balance, kind of thing. And,
Yeah. Well, it's like with deer. When I'm hunting, when I look at a deer, even a big rack, I see the big rack. Yeah, I do see the rack, but I also see, backstrap wrapped in or stuff with bacon, cream cheese, or stuff with jalapenos, cream cheese, and wrapped in bacon. And I see deer burger, and I see, deer roast, and there's all sorts of stuff I see when I.
well, and I know you boys both hunt to feed your families too. So that's a whole nother thing that it's getting lost in translation, boys. People aren't doing it anymore.
I was reading a thing the other day. I mean, since we're on the topic of hunting here for a second, that like a 300-pound black bear usually yields on average 180 to 200 pounds of meat.
Wow.
Now, if you were to go buy lean beef from the store, 180 to 200 pounds of it, you're looking at like a $900 bill.
Yeah.
Well, again,
and obviously, if it's harvested properly, not only do you get the satisfaction of knowing where it came from, all this and all that, but you get the hunt involved in it. You get to share that with your friends and family. You get obviously a bunch of sustainable, healthy, lean meat. It's very, very high in protein and nutrients.
yeah, and it's not none of this clone stuff.
Well, and it's a fraction of the cost of store meat. Well,
Yeah, you just need to have.
I eat bear. It's really good meat. I like it.
Well, and the thing is, it's applied knowledge, and then on top of that, you got to have the motivation to go and do it. And hopefully you guys keep generations, learning. But I would say as a whole, there's a lot of stuff we're slowly forgetting because we're lazy. We really are.
I'm only catfishing.
Hey, I was astounded the other day to hear someone say, we can't be eating meat that we harvest because it's not like meat from the store that doesn't hurt animals. And I'm just like, huh? I froze. I'm like, what did you just say? Do you people actually exist? That was like the first person. I don't mean to say that like in a rude manner. I always just thought that people like that were a joke. You know what I mean? Those people don't really exist. I finally met one, and I'm like, oh, oh, this is a thing, you know.
Yeah, that there these real people around here.
Yeah, I still kind of don't know how to process it,
Well, you know,
to be honest with you.
to circle this back into kind of the conspiracy area, like, have you guys heard of Monsanto's? They're
I've heard that, but I don't know anything about it.
they're basically a food company that basically owns pretty much all the seeds in the world now. So somewhere, is it Alaska or Antarctica? Somewhere we have a cold storage place where we have all our actual seeds, like
That's in like Iceland.
Iceland. So basically, the conspiracy is, and it might not even be as much of a conspiracy as just hard to unravel, but long of the short, most of our food is being cloned or is made out of just basically non-real food products by Monsanto's, and it's the reason I bring it up is they just now fairly recently got in trouble. They were putting glyphosate. It's basically an herbicide in our food, and it's one of the most dangerous herbicides ever made. And it's just one of the millions of things that they've done that's super questionable. But yeah, what as far as hunting goes, especially for families, it's probably much healthier to be eating real food and versus whatever we're eating right now.
Yeah, but I still love a Big Mac.
Yeah, it's hard to get around the old Big Macs.
Dude, I'll make them at home. I was reading up on some stuff, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I was just reading some stuff about McDonald's and their what's in their food and whatnot. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah, dude.
I got perfectly good bear burger. I got perfectly good venison burger. I got elk. I got the elk I bought from a friend out of state, which I don't know if I'm legally allowed to say that even. But he had excess, and then his dad got one, and he's like, I don't have room for all of this. He's like, I'm gonna be up your way in a week. He goes, can I drop off some meat just so it doesn't go bad? He goes, my dad didn't want this. He's like, he's got too much as it is.
Yeah, you can definitely.
He's like, so I'm like, hell yeah, I'll take it. I'll gladly take it. So I ended up with like 50 pounds of fucking elk burger.
Speaking of, hey, cool.
Yeah.
How many people with farms out there in Kansas?
My grandfather used to have one. His neighbor, I don't know, probably a handful, 5 or 6 maybe.
I need to pull a tag. I need to come out there and hunt.
Yeah, it's down in Missouri. I'm sure my grandfather wouldn't mind at all. Absolutely. We've got whitetail around that area.
I know.
The old crop damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm jump bow hunt. But anyway.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's one of those things where my grandfather, all I'd have to do is just let him know. And it hasn't been hunted in at least 12, 15 years now. I've been up in the city. So there should be some spots. His property in general, it's like 20 acres, and I want to say 15 of it's pretty thick and wooded. Yeah, it's decent.
Yeah, it sounds like perfect spot, and it ain't been hunted in years.
No, and I want to say most of the neighbors around there probably aren't hunting. There's one guy that used to lease the land across the, like, quote-unquote highway. It's a 2-lane road, but it's at least paved. And but yeah, I don't even know. It's been so long since I've been down there, but my grandfather would love it. He
if it's still labeled as a farm, Duke, you wouldn't even have to pull a tag.
What is it?
If it's still labeled as a farm, like a legitimate agricultural farm,
yeah,
you don't even need to pull a tag. You just put in for crop damage tags.
Yeah, I used
Yeah.
to get farm tags, which were free, but
Yeah,
it, it
yeah. The crop
it's
damage tags are free to the individual who owns the land.
yeah, and it was a while. It was a while ago, so we'd have to check in with him. But that way, you wouldn't be saddled with like an out of state tag, because I want to say it's like $300 or something, and it's pretty expensive. That's just how Missouri is, but yeah, there's some nice whitetails down there, and there's also some government land down there too. I know I think you can hunt, but I've got some friends down there that have some hunting spots for sure. One's right near the lake as well, and you'd love him. He's a big hunter too. He's that
His
guy.
granddad probably got a big old buck sitting in it.
Oh yeah, dude. So he and the thing is, and unfortunately, I'm so far away, but you're allowed to salt and like corn and stuff, like use feeders and stuff up until I don't even know what the limit is anymore. But it used to be for a certain period of time before the actual date there in November, or whatever, because I never bow hunted or anything, so, or black powdered, but yeah. But you're able to like bait them for a few months. So
Well, I would just leave it. I would just leave it natural.
well,
Just try to ease in there and not, leave a footprint. Just get one spot, find one good spot, and be able to get up a tree and have somebody film.
and the craziest part is up towards the top of his land, because he kind of lives down in a little valley, and towards the top there's like a wild pecan tree and some hedge trees that the deer just love. It's almost like a natural feeder. And
Right.
yeah, he's told me, I don't know how long it's been, but he used to tell me he would sit literally on his back porch and just watch the deer. Like I could have always hunted from his back porch. I'm sure of it. It just, yeah, it's hard to describe. Like his driveway's probably an eighth of a mile long, and it's basically just goes through a field. He mows it.
I'd be more than game for a hunting trip.
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is if we actually plan that out right, not only I mean, we could do, a week or whatever, few days, but not only my grandfather's place, but like the friend I was talking about near the lake, that's the guy that could bench 300 pounds in like junior high, and he's still to this day one of my best friends. He yeah, he's one of those friends where we won't talk for years, but literally when we see each other, we'll do like the bro hug, and we're right back off whatever we left off talking about. So yeah, he was the first guy to ever take me coyote hunting too. That was pretty cool. But
But I definitely I haven't been honest. I haven't been able to go on a trip hunting. I missed all the chances I've had.
well, yeah, I definitely have spots that you could come do that if you'd be into it. So
Oh yeah, I definitely.
I wish I still was closer to my baby's mom. In fact, I might be able to even talk to them, but they're closer to a piece of land where it's mainly cornfields. So you get bigger whitetail, and then I want to say it's like 20 miles away, but there's a town that's basically a grain town, and they have actual mule deer out there, kind of hybrids, and there's some big-bodied ones, but I don't think I know anybody that lives there.
Well, I'm sure where you're at. I'm sure where your granddad's at is a big body. Anything coming out of that area is big whitetail.
Oh yeah, well that's where that story I told you guys about the guy that swore he seen an elk. It might have been a mule deer that just found its way there. It could have been an elk, I guess, but he said it was the biggest thing he'd ever seen. I was like, well, why didn't you take a shot at it? And he's like, well, he was a long ways off, and All he had was a 30-30, and I was like, well, shoot at it. I mean, come on. you know? But we also, that's the same area we were in that we trapped a bobcat on accident, and he destroyed like an 8-gauge wire mesh live trap. Like it looked like a bomb went off inside of like this thing, and he just peeled it open like it was nothing. They ended up finding it because there was kids and stuff around, but yeah, we had wild cat up there too. It's crazy. That's where I'm from, middle of nowhere. But
I still live there.
well, I really do. I have some redneck heritage, that's for sure. But yeah, we'll talk about that more because my grandpa would love to be around for that. He always used to love it when we'd string deer up there and clean them there and stuff. So it's been something I haven't done in a few years. I know that. Almost 20 years now. Something like that.
Well, hell, sounds like we need to plan this.
Yeah.
I suppose, though, most of our listeners probably wish we'd get back to the topic at hand at this point.
That's right.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Hey, y'all, sometimes you just got to go off on the redneck tangent. We just got to do it. You're just going to have to deal with it. I'm sorry. I'll say it right now.
They can handle it. If they're listening to us, they're probably enjoying it anyway.
I would hope so.
I don't think people listen to us for necessarily just information.
What's that? I never graduated high school. No, I'm kidding.
Sort of.
Oh, Jesus.
I ain't gonna say anything.
I had something else, but I thought better.
Yeah,
I thought
I'm not
better.
gonna say anything. You don't have to graduate high school to be a big deal. That's all I can say.
Wow.
Wow.
I wish I was a big deal.
Yeah, me too. Well, the conspiratory kind of thing. So, moving back towards Biden. So, if he is in fact dead, right? How do you guys see this playing out?
I don't know. I mean, Kamala Harris would be the interim commander-in-chief.
Well, so here's an interesting question, and maybe if one of our listeners knows a little bit more about this side of the politics than we do, you could go ahead and tell us in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. However, if she is the interim commander-in-chief, would that not mean that she is barred from being elected for the next president? Because technically she is the president.
I mean, no, she would. No, not really.
No, and I don't even think it counts as a term, does it?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. In fact, I think I know that answer. I don't think it does, because you guys remember Johnson was able to run after Kennedy. He just decided not to. But that's interesting to kind of get into. We'd have to read on the 25th Amendment maybe a little bit more. But yeah, that's a good question. Well, and the thing is, what do you think her chances are? Because, again, I don't have anything against her personally, but listening to her talk was almost as bad as listening to Biden talk. I can't believe she was an attorney. I'm sorry. Yeah. Some of the stuff she says, so. I don't know. What do you think her chances are?
Not good.
Not good?
I don't know. I don't think it's good.
Well, now I'll look up right now while I'm here. I'll look up and see what the polls are looking like.
Also not good?
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty bad. I think Trump was ahead of Biden at the time at like 10 or 11 points, basically. But...
Hey, let's all take a minute and be honest with each other. With us having the little bit more redneck background that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
Or country-style upbringing, I should say, to be more politically correct about it, if you will.
Yeah, it's our strong suit.
Yeah, totally. I've never upset anyone by not being politically correct in my life. That's a lie. I won't even let that one hang. Well, we all want to see Ted Nugent as president.
Oh yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that would be a great thing for the country.
Oh,
And
Ted
he's
Nugent?
been in politics. Yeah, he's been in politics. He's a deputized sheriff in Michigan.
I didn't know that.
He he was in the military.
Hmm.
He not only started the bill, but helped get it passed. Where any, I believe it's any current or prior military and current serving law enforcement can carry a firearm in Great Britain.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
The Nuge.
yeah, he does. He does all kinds of stuff for the military and for um for law enforcement. Jesus, I totally spaced right there.
Well, I just found some polls. As of right now, we all know how good polls have been lately. But according to the polls, Harris is up by 4 points. 42 to 38, Trump. Now, that was with Trump being up on Biden at 1 point by 7. So it's pretty interesting. I don't know.
Well, I think that's just a
Like a media thing?
I think it's just a that and a start, like her start. I think it's just a fad.
Yeah. Well, and if it's true, that's the thing, because it's so hard to decipher anymore. Like, what information? That's why I love doing these convos with you guys. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. As of right now, that's all I see on the polls, though. Um, what else was I gonna say? Well, if she,
Well, I'll be curious to see if the Democrats come up with a new candidate to throw in real quick. Then
well, again, like I thought Michelle Obama would be, a shoe-in for that, but she might not want anything to do with it. Um, Speaking of, there's something interesting we could talk about. Have you seen the pictures of what um, Barack looked like before becoming president and then after? He looks like he aged like 40 years. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure it's
yeah, it's
stressful.
bad.
Yeah, yeah, it's just really crazy. And that's the guy that actually played college basketball too. Like he was an athlete. So, yeah, it's crazy what that job must do to you. I don't know. It's definitely one I would never want, but you know, definitely a thankless. Well, I don't know about thankless, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, dude, it would be crazy if Biden is in fact dead, though. And yeah, I- it's one of those things. Like he was even on camera. I think I'm pretty sure it was a real video where he talks about he would basically fake a disease and let Kamala run or something if he was ever asked to step down or something. And then, like you said last week, he was all gung ho about he was staying in the race. So it's just a lot of weird stuff not adding up again.
Yeah,
Well, just like the Trump shooter and all that stuff that's coming out. I don't know, man. It just that whole thing doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Did you guys see the difference in the security service he had with him between the RNC and the people that were covering him that day? He he walked into the RNC thing like with I don't know, 8 or 9 Secret Service guys that were all like 6'5". So, I at least they should have at least kept that one lady because she had his knees covered for sure. But bless her heart, I think he even mentioned something about that, Trump himself. You know, she jumped on the stage as quick as everybody else. And then there's famous photographs of, you know, some of them ducking behind Trump. It's crazy. I don't know. Talk about one job to do. Well, did you guys hear about the Jack Black thing? The Tenacious D?
Nuh-uh.
So over in Australia, they were doing a tour, and I guess it was Jack Black's birthday or something, or one of their birthdays, and Kyle, the Kyle Glass or whatever, one of them said, make a birthday wish or something, and the Kyle guy was like, don't miss Trump next time. And Australia was offended enough that they're talking about they might deport him. And they had to cancel their tour and shit. It's pretty wild. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely don't know how that would be funny in any real context at all, you know? That's just, I don't know. There's just no room for this kind of stuff. And I know that we've built an entire government and kind of country on assassination attempts, really. But, you know, I was kind of hoping that over course of time that this would become less and less.
So the problem with hoping for peace is that we're not a species that is
capable,
peaceful.
Yeah. Well, what's that quote that you always have? It's like on your profile, Duke.
Oh, Civis pacem para bellum.
Yeah.
If you have peace, prepare for war.
Yes, sir.
It's
better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yep. That's just how we're made, guys. I guess that's pretty crazy.
Well, we're about at that time, ain't we?
Yeah, we're pretty close, guys. So, did you guys wanted to end with anything specific? Any shout outs or anything?
Oh, shout out to Macho Man.
Macho Man. Well, again,
You know, I'm gonna shout out this 80-year-old man I can see. So for everyone that doesn't know, I'm actually at work right now. I'm going from one job site to another, and I'm gonna shout out the 80-year-old man on a pedal bike right now. That's he's getting her. Well, that's just I'll just say that he's
keeping
he's
on,
getting
keeping
her.
on,
So
is he? Staying in shape.
yeah, good for him. I hope when I'm 80, I never see another pedal bike a day in my life. So I guess with that being said, this has been the C.M.M. Talk Show, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.